Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. The Formula Continentals are taking to the track 24 strong in one of the most exciting and fast classes here at the Runoffs. Let's bring you our Valvoline starting grid. Mike Anderson, his second consecutive pole, and at the Runoffs, James Hansen, Justin Pritchard, Guy Cosmo, some great names, but Dave Wietzenoff, the story, buried down in 10th spot, a multiple former champion in a number of classes, and he is exceptionally talented and adept at working up through the pack. Who are the drivers that we want to be watching in this one? Well, we're going to show you, and there's a number of them. This is Guy Cosmo. He's run the American Continental class in the Pro Series this season and has a number of pole positions. There's Steve Thompson, won the June sprints with a fast lap, has been very strong in Central Division, but there's the man in Formula Continental and club racing, Dave Wietzenoff, one of the very, very best. And those are three that are sure to factor into this. Interestingly, as we said, there's Wietzenoff, but Thompson buried even further in the pack, and it's going to be fun to watch. Now, we talk about a bit of an international flair here at the Runoffs. Well, there's somebody here from the Eastern Bloc.
People are coming from all over the world to race here at the Runoffs, including the driver of this Formula Continental. He's from Estonia. He's a two-time go-kart champion in the Baltic states, and he's here in the United States now to try his hand at the Runoffs. And I want to ask Tonis Kasmits, how's the competition compare?
The competition is really hard, and everybody's pushing the times really good, and I think the competition is very good. Same in Europe.
Now, I know you have a 3.5-year-old son. Tell us the story behind his name.
I named him after the Ayrton Senna, who died in '94 in Imola. and I think it's a great name.
And in his honor, he's looking for a victory today.
Well, the traditions of racing run very, very deep, and obviously this young man, Tonis Kasmits, who was very fast, 2 wins in the very competitive Central Division this year. This guy's for real. He can drive, and obviously he knows his motorsports, and the Ayrton Senna name is legend, and obviously that means a lot.
Well, he qualified quite well.
Yeah,
he's 6th place, and that's in this kind of category, Formula Continental, these cars are so equal to one another. 6th place, I mean, you can win from there easily.
Well, this is one of those classes, they all use the same engine. It's a 2-liter inline Ford engine, but a lot of different chassis are allowed. Let's go down to John Bizignano.
Greg Machino is the crew chief for our pole setter, Mike Anderson. You've got to be wondering about this weather right now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a guess for everybody at this stage. We certainly hope it holds and stays like this. I think we'll be pretty good in this.
You had a lot of problems in qualifying, but you got the pole.
Yeah, actually had some trouble before qualifying, wasted all of our test days with a cracked chassis, but, you know, things came in well. We went back to our original settings, and luckily they worked for us.
And it's not all luck. It's an awful lot of talent, guys.
Well, you know, I talked to his dad, Mike Anderson's dad, Dan Anderson, who runs the USF 2000 Championship, and they were throwing shock changes, anything and everything they could at that car to find out it turned out to be a cracked chassis. Unbelievable. We're on board with your pole sitter, Mike Anderson, and they are about to come out of the keyhole and go to the green.
And they're going to the green with sprinkle. Look at the camera there. It was just dried off. It is definitely raining a little bit, and it's going to be the slipperiest of all conditions when they get to turn 1.
Now, this is Guy Cosmo, who's done a lot of pro racing in the USF 2000 Championship for the cars with the older chassis, but he's been very impressive and very strong in club racing. We get the green as they head down there, and on the outside, James Hansen timed that start beautifully, and Pritchard and Cosmo taking a run as well. And look at that, Anderson got buried a little bit, very loose under braking from the outside. Hansen's going to sweep around, runs the wide line, and Cosmo off in the dirt. Nice save if he didn't get into anybody.
Yeah, but the guy next to him didn't have a nice save because there was a spin going on right there, right behind him.
Everything bottled up at the top of the S's. There is number 10, Justin Pritchard, and he's the guy who apparently got caught out in that melee and is struggling, dropping back just a little bit. There's Hansen and Anderson, even loose, going into that braking zone. He is in second. And look at Hansen. You mentioned the water, Dorsey, and it looks like it's dampening that track up. They were both very twitchy.
It is raining right there on that back section right now, going up into turn 13. Much harder than it was on the start-finish line up in front there.
Now, we talked all day yesterday in those very wet conditions, Tommy, about the concrete patches here. That's going to bring that whole thing right back into play if it starts to wet up.
Yeah, exactly. You can see the water coming up on the lens, and you saw those guys that on that first lap, they haven't been at speed yet, and so they're being a little bit tentative, but way more tentative. It's really hard to race. You're kind of racing the circuit here, just try not to make a mistake, but all your practice has been done in the dry. This is the first time they've seen the wet conditions. Their warm-up was not in these conditions, so it's really kind of a crapshoot.
Battle for fourth we're looking at right here, and it is a good one. And somebody who had an absolutely brilliant start, number 82, Scott Rubenzer in that black machine. He has come from 13th up to challenge here, and they're having some great racing as we work through here. A lot of different lines being used to find some sort of launch on the keyhole, and that move around the outside was absolutely awesome.
That was more of a rain line, a rim shot around the outside. You saw the grip. He had a lot of grip right there. That concrete has got sealer on it. It's very slippery. You don't want to be on that if it continues to rain.
23, Marty Hanfeld having a strong effort right there as we watch some of the drivers now down in the S's. That's Cosmo as he is trying to find a way around. Now Cosmo sits in the third spot, and that is Mike Anderson, I think. Nope, he got past. I think that might be Rubenzer who got around. What a great series of opening laps by Scott Rubenzer. See that moisture being thrown up, and there's some darker stuff. I presume that's just some debris, mud, and the like off the track onto the lens.
This car's moving around a lot. The guy's doing a good job of keeping him on the racetrack right now. Anyway, it's raining quite a bit in that section right there from turn 10 through turn 13. You can see every time we get there, we get a lot more moisture.
Well, we're looking at some onboard cameras, Biz, and we seem to be seeing some rain.
Well, we have reports from around the track. Dorsey, you're absolutely right where it's raining the most, but right here in the pit lane, we have the umbrellas up. These guys are caught out there on slick racing tires. They have no grip whatsoever, and 1 little millimeter of water can make them aquaplanes. It's a very uncomfortable position for these guys to be in.
Well, they're trying to deal with it as best they can, and the drive of the race here is Rubenzer up from 13th to 3rd, but this battle for 5th is huge. 36 is Bryce Miller. By the way, he's the son of Trans Am star Paul Miller, and he is chasing right now. That's number 23, chasing number 36, excuse me, is chasing our 12th place car. Look at this side-by-side action as they're working through there. 23, Marty Hanfeld in that black machine now, starting to run down Bryce Miller, and that's going to change the complexion of things as they scrap for 5th spot amongst the two of them.
See how much speed Bryce got off the top into that rim shot, going off the top. Of course, the 23 is inside, looking now to the brake zone, but not anywhere near close enough to make a pass. Marty on that concrete couldn't put any power down.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting to watch them find the line and then try and do whatever they can to maximize the grip, as they say. Here's the battle behind them, and this guy, number 89, what a great story. He is Andrew Davis. He runs out of Lilburn, Georgia, and this is his 3rd year of racing, and he ran some of the pro races this year, and at Atlanta, at his home track, was a factor for the win. He is very quick in only 3 years of trying, but he's got some serious company right with him. Tonis Kazmans, who we met earlier, right there as well. And this is some tough racing, even a little bit deeper in the pack.
These guys are slicing and dicing it up pretty good there. When you look every corner entry, and everybody's taking a look at everybody else. And you know, right now they were lucky that it hasn't gotten too wet, and these tires now have some temp in them, so the little bit of moisture might not be that bad.
You saw that Miller-Honfield battle raging, and Honfield, I think, is quicker, and he's more or less going where the other car is not. I think he wants to be out where Bryce Miller is, but you have to run where they're not if you want to get by, and so that's impressive. To get by on the concrete, I think you'll see him draw away pretty convincingly. 23,
Marty Hanfield makes the pass and has moved up into the top 5. Nice move by Marty Hanfeld as we have 3 of 19 laps complete, but it is Hansen, Anderson, and Rubenzer up front. The Formula Continental National Championship race is underway, and we are watching a great battle. That is number 89, the white machine of young Andrew Davis, in right now the 7th spot. We just had a change of position as number 08, that's Jeremy Fox in the orange and white car, has moved up to 8th, and Tonis Kazmans has slipped to 9th, but these 3 have been battling in this position and swapping it around for the last couple of laps. Very good racing. And interestingly, the car that Kazmans is driving, this is the first national Continental Championship now for the car beer chassis. They started off running in the Sports 2000 and decided they were going to build a Formula Continental chassis, and it is being run very strongly. Kazmit's running it and has his car firmly up into the top 10 as we watch them complete another lap, come onto that front straight. And Davis now starting to feel a little heat as 08 Jeremy Fox and that Fox Auto Salvage and Parts. Van Diemen is starting to close it up. And the rest of the pack, there's Kazmit's giving chase as well. And again, Davis, look at that. Fox really starting to close in. Good racing into the chicane right now that they use during the club racing events here at Mid-Ohio. And very serpentine through this section. Whoa, Fox running wide. But it gave him a pretty good launch, really. Now we're going to go to the battle for third, and it was a brilliant opening 2 laps by that black car. That is number 82, Scott Rubenzer in the SBS batteries. That's another car beer. Qualified 13th by the end of the second lap. He was third. That is an incredible opening sequence of laps. The guy right behind him is Guy Cosmo, who we talked about running one of the Van Diemen chassis, and he's run that in the Pro Series. And there it's a older chassis car, so it runs in what they call the Championship within a Championship, ACC, and he had 6 poles in that car this year, so very competitive. But Scott Rubenzer, what a drive, 13th to 3rd, and even though he's feeling the heat from Guy Cosmo right now, can't discount what he was able to accomplish in the opening laps. More of that moisture on the lens, guys.
You see Rubenzer, Cosmo had the exact opposite experience the opening few laps. He was up towards the front of the grid, got shoved off in the first corner, and now he's coming back on. Rubenzer really adapted to the uncertain conditions much quicker, which is how he got all the way up there. Cosmo, though, by virtue of at least looking at the grid position, you have to assume he's quite a bit quicker. It's showing that as the course dries, but Rubenzer's in a solid third trying to hang on for a podium.
Now you see all that moisture coming up onto the lens of the camera? Well, these are open cockpit cars, everybody, and that, even maybe worse, is what's happening to the visor on the helmets. Now, some of these guys might be running tear-offs, but in the wet, sometimes those tear-offs, you get water up underneath it. It's even worse. Some of the guys elect not to run tear-offs and just actually tape even a towel to the back of their glove just to give them wipe something. Cosmo's taking a look here.
Yeah, I got that.
Oh, shutter under braking, and he was on the limit, and Rubenzer able to ramp around the outside. But getting back to that visibility issue in the wet in an open cockpit car, it's a whole different ballgame.
Well, the visor starts getting dirty, and the last thing you want to do is reach up because you know it's going to smear it, but eventually it gets so bad you have no choice, and you know it's going to smear it, you go up and you smear it anyway. So here you have, hopefully these guys, they never had really heavy water, so they probably never got drenched, so it's probably just a little bit of the dirt and mud, so it's probably cruddier than if it was just pouring rain.
Which is worse still in a way, and you got to try and resist that urge to give that a wipe if indeed you do smear it, oil and the like as well. But Cosmo relentless as they head through the carousel and up through 15 to complete lap number 7. He really has been aggressive here in his charge, and Rubenzer, you can see him, he's hunting his mirrors a little bit just so he knows where Cosmo is. There's a dry line right there, but there's a big wet stripe still underneath that bridge.
This is Cosmo's kind of nightmare. You saw at the end of the back straightaway when it was never very wet, but it was wet on line. It dried where they're running now. Cosmo went offline, was able to get down underneath, but even though he's quite a bit quicker, he's not quicker in the wet line.
We're now on board with second place Mike Anderson, who of course started on pole, but John Bizignano, Anderson has slipped back to second, but it's a comfortable second.
Well, he might be comfortable, but his father, Dan Anderson, is not too comfortable. Dan is also the president of USF 2000, and that championship is shown on Speed Vision throughout the whole year. We're going to be in Sebring for the last race next weekend. Dan, you have seen more of these type of races than anyone I've known. I've never seen you so nervous.
Yeah, I think we should call ourselves nervous wreck racing. We're all kind of pins and needles here, and right now we fell to second, but we're challenging. We're getting closer all the time, so I'm getting less nervous as it goes on, but I think I'd rather be at a pro race.
Well, he still has to get by that leader.
He still has to get by Hansen, and that's not going to be easy.
And last year he's qualified on pole and finished third.
Yeah, we're remembering that. Don't remind me of that, John.
Okay, well, let's hope this ends up in some very good memories for the next 12 months.
Well, indeed, the guy they're chasing, 24, Hansen, very quick in his own right. He had 3 wins in the very competitive Southeastern Division. These cars are very popular in that division, and 3 wins there, that says a lot. Quicksilver engine safety device, his sponsor. We're back on board now with Anderson, and there's the moisture that we're talking about, and that is as relentless as some of the drives we're seeing here. It just refuses to dry up here at Mid-Ohio. 8 of 19 laps, closing in on halfway, deciding our Formula Continental National Champ. Today's live coverage of the third and final day of the 1999 SCCA Runoffs is being brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. It's also being brought to you by Subaru. Only Subaru puts full-time all-wheel drive on every car they make. Subaru, the beauty of all-wheel drive. We are on board with Guy Cosmo. That's Scott Rubenzer right in front, and this is the battle for third. It has not abated in the least. Cosmo drops back a little bit here, but then closes up in other sections of the track. These two, the only way to describe it really is a war.
Yeah, they're really going after it. They're racing nice and clean, though. It's unusual. Sometimes these Formula car guys really carve each other up, but Rubenzer is leaving the inside wide open at the end of the back straightaway. Cosmo sticks his nose up in there, but then Rubenzer says, I'm giving you the spot, but if you don't have it, I'm going to come across the front of you. And it's kind of neat to watch. Cosmo is, again, obviously quicker, but now there's a bigger difference between online and off. As each lap goes by, it's going to be harder and harder for Cosmo to get by until the whole track's dry.
And they're catching traffic here, and Rubenzer caught him right at the exit. Cosmo thought about it, but then Rubenzer realized that guy was going to move left, and he snuck underneath, and Cosmo had no option but to just follow him through.
That was Derek Park getting lapped right there. He couldn't go anywhere. He was right there in the middle of the S's. They get through that cleanly.
Here's the launch onto this long backstretch, and Tommy, this is the straight leading into that series of corners, the S's that you were talking about, as they head all the way down, fastest section of the track, and into one of the best overtaking areas, and Rubenzer got a pretty good launch that time.
Yeah, he did. He had an extra couple car lengths more than the lap before. And he's still running out on the rain line. He's still steering clear of the concrete in that one corner, runs right over it in this corner. So he's picking and choosing, maybe different parts of. Look at Cosmo right up underneath him here. I bet you Cosmo is probably 7/8 tenths quicker, but as they say, possession is 9/10 of the law, and that includes spots on the racetrack.
Well, again, I think we're seeing, too, the difference of two chassis, the Carbier and new chassis. A lot of potential, and they're sorting at development. The Van Diemen chassis, Cosmo made the comment earlier, he's convinced the chassis that he's running, which is a 97. Whoop, a couple of guys involved. That's 0.
That's 9.
Tony Kazmet's at 43. Oh, this is tough. Rod Galbraith, those guys were in a battle for 9th. And Kazmet's continues. Here's the replay, but Galbraith looks to be in trouble here.
It's going to happen at the top of Madness, right up there in the top part of this hill. You're going to see whatever happens. I knew they were in the guardrail. Oh, there it is right there. A dive bomb onto the inside. And Kazmet's had no idea the car was there. They're going to lock horns here and both go out there and get into that wall. At least one does, 43 does.
Well, it doesn't get any more wheel-to-wheel than that. I mean, he stuffed it in there, and the car on the outside was definitely not expecting it, but they hit square wheel-to-wheel.
And he was definitely alongside. I mean, you got to probably call that your classic racing incident. He was there. The other guy had no idea he was coming, and a good bump. But they've been embroiled in this battle for a long time, and Kazmet saw an opportunity, and he was alongside. That's just a tough break.
What is the definition of a racing accident? When both guys think it's the other guy's fault?
It's always out.
Probably. So it's always a racing accident.
I think that's the definition of racing accident. So that would probably qualify.
Back on board briefly with Guy Cosmo, as he is still chasing Scott Rubenzer, and this battle is unbelievable. And Biz, the crew for Guy Cosmo, they have to be biting nails.
They'll bite nails down here anytime you want there. Right now, they're just hoping that Guy Cosmo can somehow find a way around. John Walco, you are responsible for the preparation on this car. You know every nut, bolt, and what the setup was when he went out. What's the problem? Why can't he get by?
He's just being a little conservative right now. He knows there's not a whole lot of grip out there, and he doesn't want to make a mistake. But he's going to have to make a move sometime soon.
What's he been saying to you?
Hasn't said much. He's just focusing on getting by him.
What about being out there slipping and sliding? This is horrible weather, horrible moisture.
There seems to be a decent line out there. We're not running times that are too far off. So he's just got to really watch where he goes and keep it where the grip is.
It's okay, guys, as long as he stays on the line. But as soon as you get off, it's like ice.
Well, very true indeed. And something else, now that is, I don't know if that was a double yellow or a single yellow.
I think it's a double.
It looks like it, yeah. She's
holding that other flag in her hand, which means, of course, the double yellow, that's a full course caution.
Probably for Galbraith, right in an impact area at the top of the S's. And if that's the case, this is going to make things interesting, because not only will number 9 Anderson be able to close right up on the back of your leader Hansen, But Rubenzer and the rest of the pack who had dropped well off are going to be there as well, and I would suspect they're running pretty competitive times.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's hard to say with on the monitor. It doesn't tell us exactly, but Cosmo, this will be a good chance for Cosmo to if he can get a good jump on the restart, to both get around Rubenzer and be in contact with the guys who checked down.
That's a good look at our leader, who's been far enough out in front that we've been focusing on some other battles. But James Hansen out of Pompano Beach, Florida, has been having a superb drive. And Sandy, they've got to be just hating this yellow coming out.
I don't know if you can see this, but look at his times. They have been getting progressively better. This car is getting faster. I'm with Dominic Cape, his crew chief. You made some adjustments for the rain, seeing the mist coming on. What did you do to the car?
We just softened the car up a little bit so it had a bit more grip.
Soften the sway bar, maybe?
Yeah, we softened the dampers.
Oh, you don't want to give it up. The Brits are poker players, aren't you?
I don't know. We'll see at the end.
How'd you like that, guys, for a good bluff?
That's classic. You're not going to tell it to the whole world, obviously. You made a change. Let's leave it at that. But we were looking at those times. He had a 29 flat. Pole here, guys, was a 25.5. So in this conditions, to be running less than 4 seconds off the qualifying time, they are doing a great job, as is your leader, James Hansen. But we're under yellow. Things are going to change when we come back. On board with our second place car, and you can see the schmutz that is being thrown up as this track seems to be getting a little bit damper here as we get our Formula Continental race. We are under the full course yellow due to the incident between Kazmitz and Galbraith. And Galbraith parked at the top of the S's, and that's what they are trying to remove at this point. But the field, there you can see there are spots it looks nice and dry, spots it looks a little bit more dicey. Now when it's wet out there, the volunteers that really drive the Sports Car Club of America, the corner workers are the visible ones, they're the wet ones. Let's meet them.
You know who gets tired when we have cautions like this? It's the corner workers waving the yellow. People like Justin Sawyer and Mitchell Wagner. These two made a road trip all the way from North Carolina, volunteering their time to be here. Why do this?
It's a lot of fun, and where else can you get a trackside seat for free and meet all the drivers and great corner workers?
Hey, and Mitchell, you're quite the artist. I look at your road trip in van here.
You know, we worked hard on it. Many hours, long hours at the planning table, you know, trying to figure out the best way to make our van look right. And I think we figured it out finally.
Hey, two of the dedicated workers who make it all happen this weekend.
Our fellow booth mate, Mr. Kramer, is also a worker when he's not running the jaws.
Running the jaws, yeah, I like that. I'll tell you, it is a blast. I really do enjoy getting out there when I'm not working here in the booth, to be able to get out. There is no better seat in the place, and it's true. The view, just you feel part of it out there. It's a lot of fun. We'll be right back. With 4 laps to go, and your leader, when we went to break, James Hansen, continues to lead, but obviously Mike Anderson with that yellow, that gap is gone. But more importantly, up from 13th, you watch as Scott Rubenzer now in the hunt for third. Let's take a look at our Dodge race reset. Hansen has led for most of the entire race, 0 lead changes. There were 3 cars off track at the time of the 15th lap, but up front, Hansen, look how quickly he's drawing away. He really seems to have this covered. That car working very well. And, of course, Cape Motorsports, these guys know what they're doing.
They are struggling. These guys, big time wheel lock up at the end of the back straightaway. All the top 3 guys crossed up and over the hill. So all that tire temp that they'd worked hard to generate, these cars are very lightweight, and even when they're running hard, don't really heat the tires up. They're so easy on tires. What that means under yellow is they go stone cold. So these guys are struggling. There's a car high-centered on the curb.
There's your definitive high center, folks. Look at that.
Andrew Davis sitting up there. He's got it high centered, and that's going to cause him a problem. You see front wheels off the ground there. I think that's at the exit of 10. If it is, that's a real dangerous area to be in.
We'll go back on board here with Mike Anderson as he is trying to stay with James Hansen, and Hansen drawing away a little bit. Anderson now has at least given up a little bit of the gap to third place. Let's go back down to pit lane and Sandy.
Well, the entire family for Mike Anderson practically is here. His wife, Katie, she's in the hat. His sister, Michelle, next to him. And, of course, his mom, Ruth, is here. They've been pacing, cheering intermittently, and biting their nails intermittently. And I talked to the crew chief, Greg Machineau. He does believe that there is a chance that he can get around Hansen. So we're going to have to watch. These last couple laps will be very interesting.
Well, Sandy, part of the situation here, and I think we may have a full course yellow as the leader slowing way down and nobody going. We do. Full course yellow. And again, I'm sure that's for the car of Andrew Davis, Dorsey. There's the shot of it. And you can see that is in an impact zone, as they call it, and he's going nowhere without some help.
He might not have hit the wall, in fact, but it doesn't make any difference because he can't drive out of the position. Take a look here. This is over the top of the hill. Oh, he gets real loose at the top, breaks free. Now the car's going to snap towards us, I think. Actually, it's going to back towards us and back right up here on top of the wall. And look at the cars behind him. Good evasive maneuver there.
So he gets up on the curb and just stops it. Now, right in the center of your screen, that's Davis. And it looks like right as he gets over the crest of the hill, goes light. He was probably a little greedy on the throttle.
Well, the car gets light there anyway because you're going over the crest of that hill, and it is slippery. Like Tommy said, these tire temps are gone now, and he's lucky he didn't have much bigger wreck than that, or that any of those guys behind him didn't.
Well, in the last race, the most common wreck there is you lose it and you spear across the inside like we saw in the last race, and so that was relatively harmless. And we're going to have a one-lap shootout, I believe.
It's going to be amazing. Just like Formula Andrew Davis, third year of racing. Got a little bit of a lesson here. We'll be back. Just went out on the pace car as the field coming around to complete the 18th of 19 laps. One lap of green flag racing, the shootout. This is going to decide the national championship. Let the excitement begin.
Yeah, here they go. You got Anderson really wants to stay close. There's some games going on here. They're going to be juking each other. Big crossed up there.
Watch from the onboard here. There goes Hansen, and Hansen got a huge jump last time, but not this time. Anderson stayed close. Cosmo, though, the white car, he's going to take a run at Rubenzer for third. He got a great jump, and Rubenzer goes in a little bit deep. And
Cosmo lost it, big time crossed up. Rubenzer's off. And the leader.
And the leader lost it. The leader lost it. Suddenly, Mike Anderson finds himself in front. Unbelievable, the leader, and I think Rubenzer hit the leader. Somehow Anderson skated through, and there is James Hansen, who's led the entire race up to turn one on the last lap. And there's the view Mike Anderson wanted. Nothing in front of him. Nothing in front of him.
No, but unbelievable, because Hansen really didn't have anything for him. We saw in the last restart, he was really struggling getting up to tire temp, and watch here, he was having trouble with lockup at the end of the straightaway.
There's Rubenzer, perhaps the drive of the race. 13th up to third and going after second. Now things change just a little bit as Rubenzer, just look at that, absolutely crestfallen as he heads away. But Anderson family et al. Right there are absolutely ecstatic. And we're on board once again with pole sitter Mike Anderson. He is coming up now through the back section of the track, still squirrely.
This is not a foregone conclusion. He's struggling just getting it around on his own. Fortunately, he's not under any pressure, but again, losing all the tire temp, he was struggling more than the other guys to get up to temp, and got quicker as the laps went along.
We just saw a shot of his crew, and there's Dominic Pate from Hansen's crew, and you can see the look on their face saying it all. Marty Hanfield, I believe it's Marty, has moved up into second with all of that carnage in the first turn, but here we go. Mike Anderson looked like he was going to be a silver medalist, one step better than last year, but now he steps up two onto the podium, and he wins the Formula Continental National Championship. And Hanfield on the front straight, Cosmo involved. You can just see it in the background, some carnage behind, but Mike Anderson takes the national championship. And lots of stuff happening on the front straight. We'll come back to sort it out for you. But the celebration in the Anderson pit is going to go on for a few days, I'd imagine. Mike Anderson, your national champ, is your new national champion from the pole. Second most of the race, but opportunity presented itself, and he wins it. There is Mike Anderson. And as I said last year, third place. Looked like he might get the silver. But nope, he moved up, and here's why. There's Anderson, and look at that. Hansen just lost it all by his own self as they come through here, and Anderson somehow made it through.
Well, it had been raining a little bit while these guys were behind the pace car, and like Tommy said before, on the restart, all the heat is gone. You see it there. Nobody, everybody, the whole field, very, very skatey, and of course, it's not over yet.
And Rubenzer just a problem, and look at the agony of that crew. As Hansen, it just got away from him, Biz.
Dominic Cape, you're still looking down the track looking like, when is this man going to come around? I mean, he led, he drove a beautiful race, not a mistake, and then first corner, last lap.
Made a mistake. I think Mike Anderson drove a great race.
And what about, you were hoping for a second place, and then that disappeared right in front of your eyes also.
Well, stuff happens.
Okay, so what about next year? I know you guys, Cape Motorsports, you are not going to give up. You're pro racers, you're club racers, you're the best out there. All this does is give you more enthusiasm to go ahead.
Yeah, it just builds a fire. What can you say?
Well, I don't think he's going to say anything more, guys, but he's going to go home and build that fire.
Well, they've had an awfully successful year in the Pro Series as well. A couple of their drivers, T.J. Bell, to name one of them, having a very strong season. Now, Mike Anderson, his family, Sandy, they are ecstatic.
They've been whooping it up down here in pit lane. His wife, Katie, pole position last year, pole this year. Wasn't successful last year, and now he's got it.
We are just ecstatic. He's done a wonderful job all year, and if anybody deserves it, it's him, and we're just so excited.
Michelle, his sister, you're part of this car's team, too.
Gosh, well, I didn't get to do any races this year, and I haven't been to any of his races this year at all. I work for the Pro Series, so I haven't been to any. This is the first one I've come to, and I've been such a nervous wreck. Congratulations, Mike, and we love you.
And his mother, Ruth, I think you were the most nervous of all. You'd walk and walk away, come back and look, walk away again.
I am used to this, though. I get nervous every time, but I just pray for him, and I was so happy. He deserves it. He's just worked so hard, and I'm just so proud of him.
Well, congratulations to all of you. 4 or 5 races he's won this year. Now he's improved that record. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Hi, Mom.
What a great race he put in. Give you some stats on the race. It was Hansen leading 1 of 18, essentially, almost the entire race, but Mike Anderson led the one that counted. Now look at the carnage unfolding there. It was amazing, but there's a celebration when they realized it was going to happen. They absolutely came unglued down in pit lane, but deservedly so. A member of the family is a national champion.